Whether we wanted it or not, we've stepped into a war with the Cabal on Mars.
The lunar pyramid stirs to the Leviathan's call. It manifests our deepest regrets. Where once we banished the nightmares, a new terror rouses them from their slumber. We will not cower in fear of nightmares. We will rise to meet the enemy and confront our darkest fears with open eyes.
Destiny 2 is a free-to-play multiplayer or solo instance-based MMO looter-shooter with RPG elements developed by Bungie. The game became free-to-play with the New Light title release in 2019. In Destiny, you take on the role of a Guardian of the Light. Armed with an assortment of guns and superpowers, your job is to keep the ever-looming threat of darkness at bay. Today we are going to be checking it out from the free-to-play player perspective to determine if Destiny 2 is worth. Before we dive in, I'd like to thank all the recent and returning subscribers. You guys are the heroes in my journey. Thank you for being here. Enjoy.
Magnificent. It is the beginning of the end.
Although Destiny 2 requires considerable hard drive space at a whopping 105 gig, for whatever reason, the download is clean and the game boots without any issues, and it's looking great so far. Character creation in Destiny isn't the greatest hero builder I've seen, but does afford some neat options. You can play as a Warlock, a Titan, or a Hunter. I opted to play as a Hunter because I played Destiny 1 and have no desire to wield the Warlock's Cryptarch bestowed jump. And I hate the Titan because
fuck 'em, that's why.
Choosing my race in Destiny offers 3 options again, allowing me to choose between Human, Awoken, which is basically Magic Human, or Exo. Space Robot Hunter takes the cake. The customization in designing my Exo Hunter is basic but not bad. Bumble the Exo Hunter is born. Now for the immersion. Okay, Destiny 2, I'm ready to become engaged in an epic story. I load in and am rewarded with this cutscene.
We called it the Traveler, and its arrival changed us forever. Great cities were built on Mars and Venus. Mercury became a garden world. Human lifespan tripled. It was a time of miracles. We stared out at the galaxy and knew that it was our destiny to walk in the light of other stars. But the Traveler had an enemy, a darkness which had hunted it for eons across the black gulfs of space. Centuries after our golden age began, this darkness found us. And that was the end of everything. But it was also a beginning.
Afterwards, I wake up with an aluminum or Rubik's Cube floating over me, telling me it's time to get up, we need to get shit done. Apparently, he has been looking for me for some time and was able to revive my destroyed body. This is always a nice touch. I like it when a game can incorporate the respawn or quasi-immortality of my hero into the lore. So after a brief introduction, his name is Ghost, I guess. Nope, I hate that. He can be Periwinkle. From now on, little buddy, your name is Periwinkle. Anyway, Perry tells me that this is Fallen territory and we need to kick it into gear in GTFO before the Fallen return and upgrade us back to dead. I opt to play with the controller and the movement in Destiny is snappy and responsive. Menus load quickly and the game hovers around 60 FPS at all times. Perry pulls a Houdini and vanishes inside of me. It's not weird, I'm a robot, he's a robot, this is fine. Perry guides me through an old factory and before long the Fallen have picked up on our trail. Perry hacks a door and leads me to my first weapon. It looks like it's seen better days, but aiming down the sight snaps quickly and smoothly, and I'm ready to clap some Fallen cheeks. The hitboxes on enemies are tight and the gun feels weighty and impactful. I Rambo my way through the factory with ease and step out to meet Shaw.
Thank the light. I didn't think we had other Guardians on patrol here. Listen, my fire team's missing. I need backup, and...
Shaw has misplaced his team, and I'm here to help because Guardians are stronger together, I guess. Go ahead and put that on a poster. Shaw says he'll take the lead on the rescue and vanishes. Conveniently nearby is a treasure chest with a hand cannon. Shaw bravely scans for signals while I'm sent into enemy territory to do the heavy lifting. The Fallen block my path, so it's time to run and gun. Not far, there is an antenna that needs hacked. This is a common trend in Destiny. Your ghost hacks doors, consoles, and any other electronic MacGuffin while you play tower defense and kill waves of enemies for the duration of the hack. Normally I would consider this filler content, but shooting things in Destiny is fun, so hack it up, little buddy. My only complaint with this mechanic is that the moment the hack succeeds, all enemies just vanish into thin air and you're told to progress. Personally, I would rather mop up the remaining enemies for the objective to have a more natural feel rather than the villains going, "Oh, boys, they activated, they got it, ninja vanish, let's GTFO." From here, I need to get some access codes from a nearby terminal, and I'm introduced to another mechanic in Destiny. It's a simple concept, but not explained at all. You kill the ball carrier, then jam the glowy ball into the nearby thingy, and that's about the gist of it. Apparently it's called slam dunking. I gather the codes, and my objective tracker informs me that there is a barrier that needs disabled. Shaw is still T-posing on his scanner, so I head over to bring down the barrier. It's as simple as hold down the interact button, and ta-da, the barrier is down. Heading inside yet another ruined factory, I am introduced to another enemy of the Guardians, the Hive. These ravenous space undead look in desperate need of a flu shot, but I only brought bullets, so if it stinks, it's down. So I delve deeper into the factory in search of Maeve, Shaw's lost compatriot, all while sending Space Crispies to Jesus one hand cannon shot at a time. I arrive on scene to find Maeve being Vader choked by Navoda, a crispy space witch of the stank, and my super golden gun is of absolutely no use. Navoda strangle gangs Maeve into oblivion and then ninja vanishes away. It's here that I discover Maeve's shattered ghost shell. This is how Guardians experience true death. Your ghost is a conduit to the Traveler's light and is utilized to keep you coming back. But if your ghost buys the farm, it's over. So I gather Maeve's a Rubik's Cube of immortality, and it's back to Shaw, who as far as I can tell has done fuck all to save his friends other than diddle his scanner. Go team. Real quick, let's talk about the visuals of Destiny 2. I mean, it's 10 out of 10. This game is beautiful. The visuals, the characters, the enemies, the locations are dripping with character and charm. Destiny does aesthetics superbly. The game is just a visual treat in every aspect. From here, I learn about fast travel, and am forced to teleport back to Shaw to report about Maeve. Shaw grieves the death of his former companion, and takes out his hunter knife to cut the hem of his cloak to wrap Maeve's ghost shell in it, claiming it's an old hunter tradition. Actually, Shaw just stands there looking like a donkey, and I'm forced to read this heartfelt moment in a text wall. This moment would have been more impactful if I was to actually see it rather than read it while Shaw derps from one foot to the other talking about how hunters work well together over and over and over. You have amazing graphics and voice actors. This feels lazy, and I'm curious to how many people actually read this and didn't just button mash their way through it. Anyway, let's move on. To keep the spoilers to a minimum, I'm going to leave the very short story content of Destiny 2 out of the remainder of the video and focus on the systems and things available to the free-to-play player. So let's talk about the quality of Destiny 2 for a bit. After his tutorial storyline, speaking with Shaw again offers a few bounties. Bounties are mini objectives in Destiny, usually pertaining to the world that you're currently on, or other activities that we'll discuss later on if taken from NPCs on the tower. And I'm prompted for the first time of many to purchase the latest expansion, the Witch Queen. This appears as a mission from Shaw in its shiny gold and informs me that my reward will be some kind of weapon called Sweet Business. I see your bait, Bungie, but no thank you. I'm here to see what I can do for free. But Bungie is a persistent hunter, and at every turn this will become a common theme. And the message is clear. Spend money here. But before we dive too deep down that rabbit hole, let's talk about some things that Destiny does well. Combat in Destiny is fantastic. Bungie does gunplay very well. Your weapons all have a feel to them and vary from bullet velocity to rate of fire. Combat is also a visual treat and in many cases forces you to think on your feet as incoming enemy fire is being launched at you from all directions. The enemies are numerous, and although the AI can be sometimes a little derpy, for the most part they're all a real threat of sending you back to the respawn. Your Guardian comes equipped with a selection of class options that vary based on element of your main abilities. Solar, which is fire-based, Void, which is negative energy, and Arc, which is your lightning boy. Now, there is a fourth, it's Stasis, and that does cold damage, but that's not available to the free-to-play player. All of these class options have unique melee attacks and grenades that match the flavor of your chosen class, and it all blends together very well. Each elemental class comes with a variety of alterations. I stuck with the Solar Hunter and the starting Golden Gun ability, but could have switched to Blade Barrage, which sees my character leap into the air and hurl a fistful of incendiary knives. They're all very flashy and very cool and seamlessly blend into any firefight. Destiny 2 is in the process, however, of changing many aspects of their class builder currently, and although I believe they are headed in the right direction with character progression, I still know very little when it comes to tweaking out a character. If you're interested in all of that, my good friend Zombie's channel will be linked in the description below. He is currently doing a Let's Play series on the Witch Queen expansion and does weekly uploads for Destiny 2. I'm sure he would love to answer any questions that you have. Oh, and be sure to sub to his channel to T-pose on the Cryptarch. Anyway, combat is Destiny's strongest asset. From boss fights, public events, strikes, the Nightfall, to Dares of Eternity, there is always something that needs its head canoed on any given planet at any given time. If you are a fan of fantasy first-person looter shooters with RPG elements and, I don't know, grew up in a cave and this is your first time hearing about this game, I suggest you give it a go. Okay, let's move forward, shall we? Okay, let's talk about questing and progression in Destiny 2. It's based heavily on bounties and experience through ranks with NPCs. For example, Zavala the Titan on the tower offers bounties for strikes and the Nightfall strike. Completing these bounties awards you experience on the Season Pass, more on that later, and experience towards ranking up with Zavala and the Vanguard. Raising in rank offers engrams, which are glowy D20s that hold various equipment that can be equipped to increase your hero's light level or power score. Power score is based on the power score of all your currently equipped items at any given time. Yeah, this is a stupid leveling system and personally I'm not a fan of it, and the grind fest to raise your Guardian's power rating is kind of a pain in the ass. Personally, I prefer levels and a more linear leveling progression, but Destiny does do a decent job of consistently tossing out tons of gear for your power score to slowly creep ever upwards. They also have ways to allow you to increase the rating of a chosen weapon or armor piece if you find yourself in love with a particular item. But I'm going to leave that for the Destiny gurus to explain how all that works and the best way to obtain upgrade materials, just because I am noob and don't really know. Let's move on to strikes and co-op play. Destiny allows fire teams so that you can tackle content with your friends and does have a very good matchmaking system for pairing you with other players for any given content if you happen to be tackling the galaxy solo. Strikes are limited to a 3 Guardian fire team and act as a single serving mission that are instance based on a random world. At least I think they're random, they could be cycled, I'm not sure. But they usually involve heavy combat, platforming from one location to another, and a boss fight with varying mechanics. It is worth mentioning that none of these mechanics are ever explained. Destiny has an on-the-job training policy, but none of them were so outlandish that I felt lost. It's usually hack and kill waves, slam dunk the ball, or pick up the item and zap the big bad shield, and like most games, it's just better with friends. Personally, of the content available to the free-to-play player, strikes, especially with friends, I found to be one of the most enjoyable aspects of Destiny 2. The Nightfall strike is a modified strike set to a harder difficulty that has random modifiers such as arc guns do more damage to both you and the bad guys. The Nightfall usually offers better rewards than regular strikes, but are harder to complete, especially if you have more than one Titan on your team.
'Cause fuck 'em, that's why.
I'm just kidding. No, seriously though, Destiny is a very populated game and you will never struggle to be paired in most, if not all, available content matchmaking if you happen to be playing alone. I believe the Nightfall strike changes week to week, so familiarizing yourself with any given mechanics of the Nightfall is very achievable. If strikes are not your thing or you're just tired of grinding them, public events are rinse and repeat events that happen planet-side and are visible on your map for easy grinding. You can turn them into heroic events if certain modifiers can be achieved during the event itself, increasing both the difficulty and the rewards. Play them enough and you'll get the gist of them in no time. Personally, I enjoyed participating in public events, especially the Nightmare Protocol on the Derelict Leviathan, but they can become stale after the 6th or 7th time of doing the same objective over and over. But they are a viable way to grind out bounties on whatever planet you happen to be adventuring on.
All right, Mavericks. Ready to see what you're fighting today? Cabal on the field.
Okay, let's move on to PvP, and I'm going to be honest, there is a very high skill ceiling in Destiny 2's player versus player content. But the modes of PvP do vary from control more nodes than the opposing team, to team deathmatch, to Gambit, which is fight the PvE critters and kill the boss faster than the other team, while invading their side to cause mayhem or fight off the opposing team's invader, to free-for-all PvP, where it's a last man standing simulator. Other than Gambit, I did not enjoy PvP during my experience with my free-to-play character and got my ass kicked a lot. Matchmaking for PvP seems more tuned to pairing you with other players, not necessarily pairing you with other players near your skill level. Or I just suck. I could be that. I could just suck, and that's okay. Which brings me to Destiny 2's Season Pass and pay-to-win tactics. Pay to enjoy. Pay-to-play mindset. At every turn during my free-to-play experience, I was told this is paid content, requires the Season Pass, requires the 30th anniversary, requires Beyond Light, requires Forsaken Expansion, requires the Witch Queen. There is a lot of content for the paid player in Destiny 2, and even exotic items from these expansions are unavailable for the free-to-play account. Now, currently, during the making of this video, all Destiny content is on sale, making the cost of many of these items relatively reasonable. They are not reasonable if not on sale, and bundling them does not lessen the blow to your wallet, especially if you are someone who once upon a time purchased Destiny 2 upon release because the Red War campaign no longer exists. Now, the Season Pass itself costs 1,000 silver, and that's Destiny's in-game cash app currency, and I was surprised and happy to learn that you can purchase that exact amount for $10. Now, personally, I think Season Passes in games is a trash mechanic, because you are paying money for the opportunity, not the guarantee, to get these rewards based on your investment and grind within the game itself. I dislike Season Passes in general because they are a limited time tactic to keep players returning daily, so they don't miss out on whatever shiny doodad happens to be next on the Season Pass itself, and I'm just not about that life. Now, to be fair, everyone I have spoken with in my Discord finds the cost and rewards of paying for the Season Pass worth it. As far as Season Passes go, looking at you, Warzone, Destiny's is not too bad, and the free-to-play player does get rewards that slowly decrease as you rank up in the current season. So bearing all that in mind, that even as a free player you gain rewards, this can be considered a positive feature as far as Season Passes are concerned. It is also worth mentioning that for an additional $10, you can advance 10 ranks in the Season Pass and get a snazzy exotic weapon immediately. Now, regardless of how hard my Discord friends tried to persuade me, this is pay to win. I swipe my credit card, I get combat items. That's pay to win. Many of the quest starters for the paid content also have exotic items attached to them as rewards. Bungie seems very good at dangling paid items in front of you at every opportunity. The bulk of Destiny 2's content is locked behind expansions and paywalls. During all of my free-to-play RPG spotlights, I have never ran out of content faster than in Destiny 2. Is Destiny free-to-play? I would say yes. And I know a lot of players that would agree that yes, the game is technically free to play, but if I'm going to be honest here, Destiny should be looked at more as a trial game or demo from the free to play player perspective. Destiny requires that you pay to participate in most of its content, and although the content that you are able to experience as a free to play player is short, I can honestly say that it is very enjoyable. Now, I'm not in the market of telling people how to spend their time or their money, but Destiny is worth a peek at most. Not to get to end game or max out a build. Nah, Destiny 2 is free to see if it's for you. I would never consider this a main MMO as a free player. The game just doesn't support enough content to the free player base. And before anyone says you can still do bounties, to you I say log into any other MMORPG and do the kill 10 wolves and collect 5 batshit quests on repeat, and tell me if that's content worth sticking around for. This by no means makes Destiny a bad game. Destiny is actually a good game. But just because someone didn't enjoy their experience with a game doesn't make it bad. But this also makes the opposite true. Just because you had a great time playing a game doesn't make that game good either. This only dictates your perspective of the game. This is starting to get deep. Let's move on. So what's my personal experience with Destiny 2? Well, I usually stick it out in an RPG Spotlight video until around level 20 or so. But Destiny doesn't have a traditional leveling system, so I decided to use the Season Pass as my level cap. At level 20 sits a shiny exotic engram, and I was determined to have it. So I completed every possible campaign I could find for the free-to-play player, and after that, I played Gambit. I ran the Nightfalls. I queued up for Strikes and ran the Nightmare whatchamacallit on the Derelict Leviathan. I played Dares of Eternity. And that's when it happened. The exotic gun Crimson dropped into my inventory. A hand cannon that has a 3-round burst and self-reloads if the enemy is killed with precision, and heals the wielder every time an enemy dies. And that's when I knew I had it. My new free-to-play player perspective. Destiny 2 is a grindy slogfest, and some of that content is repetitive and grows stale if ran on repeat. You fight for every PowerPoint to increase your light level to drag your guardian by the fingertips to reach maximum potential. You grind ranks with NPCs and run Crucible and events for a chance at higher gear, glimmer, and rewards worthy of an Iron Lord. You feed the Cryptarch hundreds of legendary engrams only to be disappointed that you get the same rocket launcher 6 times in a row and the rolls are shit. But occasionally, sometimes, if you are in the right match, in the right event, the Traveler smiles on you and gifts you with just the right tool to keep you going. This is Destiny 2 in a nutshell, and I can see why so many players have such a love-hate relationship with this game. With Crimson in hand, I took one last look at my Exo Hunter Bumble and my Ghost Periwinkle. Man, what an adventure. And I turned the game off, knowing that I would never know what that rank 20 Season Pass reward was, and I'm good with it. Destiny 2 has a legendary lure that is hard to resist and easy to spend money on. Again, I would like to thank Zombie for helping me in the making of this RPG Spotlight video. Brother, your console has been invaluable. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to drop a like to Golden Gun the algorithm, and consider subscribing to Nutshot the Cryptarch. Thank you for watching, and have a great day. Goodbye.